Alrighty. Good afternoon and welcome. I wanted to show a quick look at the separator that we have in the bus. If you look online, separating composting toilets are roughly $900 to like $1,500. The two most popular ones are like $1,100. So I thought there has to be a way to make one that's cheap or free. So I went with the nearly free version. I researched what a separating toilet does, and basically it just separates the dry from the wet in the potty. So let me show you the magic trick here. This is just it's a soft close potty lid. This was, I think, let's say $30. I think it was 25. I think it was 25. So I got the soft close potty lid, the no slam potty lid, which is mounted on a washing machine lid. So somebody was chucking a washing machine, I unscrewed the lid from it. He said, no problem, take it. So I took the lid, and then it's cut with a hole to match the same shape as the potty lid. And then I took some weather stripping and made a seal around here, just so it keeps the air from flowing out. Inside, the separating toilet simply needs to separate liquids from solids. That easy. So you can spend $1,000 and get the real ones, or in my case, I took the same basic idea, and this is the main, you can go ahead. This is the main bin. These are like $8. I already had one on hand. But the idea with using a bin is it's easy to just grab it and move it around. And it already comes from the factory watertight, so there's no risk of anything spilling out of this. Then you just need a way to get the wets to stay separate from the dries. In my case, I took a 5-gallon bucket that I got from a dumpster, so it's free. These are like $4 if you want to buy them brand new. You cut a smiley face and then cut the face out from there all the way down like a giant open mouth. And get it, this is a dollar store bucket. It's a 2-gallon bucket. You just need this to be able to slide in here. And if you leave the floor of the bucket intact, when you have that in there like that, it rests on it. It doesn't come apart. So turn that a little bit sideways. And then these, I put 5 bags in here so that nothing ever touches the bucket. That last bag, the very first one in, is always only ever a liner. I always keep at least another bag inside that one, so I never use that last bag. That way the bucket itself doesn't actually ever touch anything that's in only one layer. Plastics, because of the way their chemical compounds are created, they retain smells very easily. So you don't want that to be a factor in here wherever it's possible to avoid it. So again, a free bucket, a $1 bucket, and then trash bags, of course, are consumables. The idea with this is the dry section, because it's dry, it doesn't matter if you cut a hole in the bucket itself. There's nothing wet in it if all goes well. So you put your 5 bags in there, and then this whole kit, with this bucket, no cutting on this bucket. It's always still a sealed bucket from the store. It never has a break in that seal. Now the idea with that is you end up with a guard against anything happening. The idea with having that bucket intact is that you get a gallon jug. These are free because you're already buying milk or water, whatever you're getting. In my case, I bought water bottles because I didn't want to struggle against a dairy smell, because you know, plastics smell like dairy when they're done. So that just goes right in the bucket, the little black bucket. And then this is a $15 tractor funnel. This is for filling fuel in tractors. But I wanted a wide mouth because of the way because of the dynamics of the wet side of a toilet. It seemed like it would be good to have a wide mouth there to be catching the wet portion. Then the dry portion, it's just the bags. So when you assemble it back together, it does take a little to get used to sitting exactly where you're supposed to sit, to make sure you're utilizing the wet and the dry portions correctly. But at this point, you just keep an eye on the 1 gallon jug to make sure you remove it when it's full. Always keeping extra jugs on hand with lids. So you pull one out and put another one in its place. We keep 4 on hand. We have found that we need 4 a day. Then, the miracle about composting or separating toilets, the miracle is you just need to throw wood chips or moss or something that covers the dry portion each time it's been used, just to keep air from getting to it. Because the wets and the dries are separated, it doesn't make the chemical composition that causes the stink of that sewage smell that you get with a toilet. So that you get just 2 separate areas, no chemical reactions. The wets, actually, you're more likely to smell the wet section than you are the dry section. We're using a bag of cedar shavings that we got at the feed store. You just throw a handful or 2 handfuls in to make sure you've covered everything. And then that way, that doesn't smell in the dry at all. And the wet section, the smell is it's there when you open the potty, but when you close the potty, it's not. This whole kit, this was $25. The $1 bucket is in there and a $15 funnel. So for me, what is that? $41 is what I paid for this whole setup. I wanted a very nice potty lid. You can get a potty lid for like $9 if you don't care, but I wanted it really nice. The reason I went with the reason I went with the washing machine lid is I wanted it to feel and look porcelain, so it looked solid and felt solid, so you don't feel like you're sitting on plastic bucket. Because this whole setup is sitting on the bin and the bucket, it's very sturdy. It doesn't matter how heavy you are when you sit on this, it's not going anywhere. But I wanted it to feel as much like a real potty as possible. This bin is, with this lid and this, is exactly the height of a real potty. Which again, I wanted to feel like a real potty, I didn't want it to feel like a camper potty. So what you end up with is a separating toilet that does the exact same thing the $1,000 ones do, but it costs $41. Yet to do on this project is to cut a hole in the side for a 3-inch exhaust port where I will vent the gases from the separator through the floor using a small separator toilet fan. It's a 3-inch tube. I'm going to use 3-inch. You can go smaller, but I'm going to do a 3-inch tube to vent the potty. The idea with that is it creates negative pressure in here, meaning it's always just pulling a little bit of air in, and that way the smell that is in here is never coming out into the bus. Even when you open the potty and use the potty, that fan is always drawing the air down and outside the bus. We've had this up and running in the bus without a fan, because I haven't done the fan yet, for a month and 2 days in fact, and it's shockingly effective. If you watch any videos on separating toilets versus flushing toilets in an RV, you hear a lot of people say, my wife insisted on a flushing toilet, and then we tried the separator. It's $1,000. We tried it and love it because there's no smell. And so I was a little skeptical of that, because having been a camping family for 5 or 6 years prior to this with 4 kids, I know that there are smells. But because these are separating the categories of wet and dry, those smells, it's shocking how little of a smell there is to this setup. If you've ever done camping where you use a camping bucket, where it's just a potty seat on a bucket, which we did for 2 camping trips, that is a disaster and smells, but we did it for 1 camping trip. That has a horrible smell, and it has a horrible smell very soon after using it. Like, you could use it, set it back, and back into your rig, or we would keep it outside the rig, drive to the next exit, whatever, an hour and a half, and by the time you're there, the smell was significantly worse. You do hear a lot of people say you can't smell anything in a separator, and they're so glad they went with a separator instead of a flushing toilet. I was a little skeptical of that, so we tried it on our last camping trip earlier this year, using just a bucket, and then I created a separating portion that went into a small jar, and it worked. It worked so well, I couldn't believe it, and that cost me $0.00 to make it. So that's what gave me the go-ahead mentally to, you know what, I'm gonna, rather than spend $1,000 on a separator, I'm going with this plan, which I actually started a year ago. Before even having the bus, I was just tooling around with the idea. I bought the funnel, tried a couple different funnels, but this, super happy with this. We've been on the bus for a month and I've had no problem. A little full disclosure, to be perfectly honest, the the smells that are associated with using the dry portion of the toilet are significant when that is happening. But that's the case no matter where you're at, whether you're in your house or restaurant. The smells associated with using the dry portion are going to be significant. That's the case in this case as well. But on Skoolie, you just open the windows. And the way I designed our Skoolie, the emergency exit is the bathroom window. Not only could you put the window down if you wanted to, but you can also open the window up like this and just vent the air that way. We have fans in our bus that we can turn and point them right at the bathroom, and then that vents the air through that open window. It doesn't eliminate that dynamic, but it significantly reduces it enough that there's no significant ill effect. So there are tricks that you figure out on your specifics in your specific situation. In our case, the Skoolie has worked super awesome for this. So, would I ever go to a flushing toilet after creating my own separator? No way on God's green earth, ever. Because then you end up with another tank you have to have under your vehicle. In our case, we have 6 people, and the tanks are 40, 50 gallons, something like that. We would only get maybe 5 days out of that anyway, so we'd have to constantly be driving our vehicle to a dump station and back to empty it. So no, I would never do that. Chemical toilets are a box similar to this, but both wets and dries go in there, and then you put chemicals in there to stop it from smelling, but then it just smells horrible with the addition of the smell of a chemical. So, and if you've ever experienced that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like a porta potty, it's disgusting. This is by far the best solution I've ever discovered in all the years I've been camping, 40 something years old. This is a shockingly good solution. So if you're considering getting a separating toilet, before you spend $1,000, spend $40 or even less. You do this for 30. You don't have to use this lid. You can use the lid the bin comes with. There's no plywood, nothing. There's nothing involved with this. You have to be able to cut a hole in the top and screw this lid on. Again, you can get the $10 version of the lid. You don't need to get the expensive one. Try this situation out first, and after spending $40 on it, if you love it, then maybe you want to spend $1,000 on the big ones. Honestly though, if you've ever looked those up, they're far more of a hassle to empty than this one. Let me show you what the process looks like to empty this in the bus. Alright, let me show you how I empty it when it's inside the bus. Just slide the potty out, drop the lid assembly behind here, and then there would normally be something in here to empty. It's currently clean right now. I would be able to pop the funnel out and set it in the bag of shavings, just in case it should drip. And then you would grab the wets and take it out. Normally I put it in a Walmart bag just in case there was some moisture, set it aside, and then I would put in a fresh new one that I keep on hand. Once you do that, you drop the funnel back in and then put the lid back on. If you need to empty the dries, it's just a matter of grabbing a trash bag, pulling it out like this, tying it off, and then taking it out of the camper at that point. In order to reload the bag, you simply throw a new bag in there like that. It couldn't be easier. Throw the funnel back on here and close the whole assembly. The benefit that this has over the other separators come with a jug right here in the front, and you either have to unclip it or disassemble it and pull it up, and then you have the jug, and there's no real discreet way to get it off your bus unless you have a fabric bag or something that you're going to put it in and carry it up. The other separators that I've seen, also the dry section, does not have a bag to contain it at all. There's a macerator in there. It's a zigzag curved metal rod that you turn on the side, and it sort of churns up the dry portion with whatever shavings you're putting in there to help it compost. You have to take that whole assembly, the top part off, and then remove that whole macerator section and take it out of the bus. So you're walking back and forth with all the components of your separator right through your living space. So that can become problematic. I can just imagine if a person tripped. The lovely thing about this separator system is everything is capped or tied off when you're taking it out of here. The emergency scenario would be the buckets that they're both contained in, and then a tertiary or a third emergency containment system is the blue bin it's in, so that if something goes horribly wrong, you can just grab this whole thing and get it out of here, which can happen. Or if you're doing something and you somehow drop it or spill it, it's always spilling or dropping into 1 or 2 additional layers of protection. So this is a great system for that. We've been very happy with it. I have no reason to complain. And that's that.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out our other videos on YouTube.
I was just gonna ask, where's Isaac? Is Isaac nearby?
Did you not hear the laugh?
Yeah, I was gonna ask him to shush. Hey guys, I'm gonna be filming a thing.
Oh, okay.
Just if you can quiet down a bit.
We'll go in.
Okay.
Actually,
You could also.
I'm just gonna go to the bathroom and then.
Okay. Hi, Penn. You look filthy and tired. Hi.